This is Winter Sirens. We're here with back with you. We're
here with Winter Sirens.
We're here with Winter Sirens.
This is Mitchell's band, and we're back with another episode of Pillow Talk. Today, we're going to be discussing our band's journey, the story of our band, the band story, the Winter Siren story.
That's Alec getting his word count in for his essay.
That's me trying to figure out what I'm trying to say by saying it.
I am unable to can.
Yes.
I'm unable to can. I am couldn't.
So the story starts with you, Mitchell.
Yeah, tell me a story.
Story. I'll tell you no lies.
So I've always done music. I've always I don't know. It really all started back in high school when I really decided I wanted to do music, and there's a lot of backstory to that. But in regards to Winter Sirens, it really started at the end of my last band, which was a band called Kodiak Brigade. The drummer of that band was going to he was just gonna leave the band. It just didn't fit for him and what he was trying to do, and that was totally understandable. And I was kind of like wishy-washy with Keith and being like, yeah, we want you, now we don't, and just like all this confusion. And then after, there was just a lot, like this pretty big like fight between my last band about where headquarters should be for the band. They were in Missouri, which is where I'm from, and I was in Utah and thinking about building a house, and I decided to stay in Utah, build a house with now it's my ex-wife. And that was the end of that band and the beginning of Winter Sirens. And after Kodiak Brigade was over, I reached out to Keith. He was serving a church mission in Los Angeles, and I emailed him and said, "Hey, when you get back, let's start a new band together." And then after that, he got back, and you can kind of, Keith, you can tell your side of the story, because that's where it kind of started to kick in.
Yeah, and that went on. That was like a few month process. After Mitchell, emailed me and told me he had decided to leave Kodiak Brigade, and he wanted to start Winter Sirens, it just seemed like the thing to do. It felt right, and making it big in a band is something I wanted to do since I'm like 14 years old, and it felt like the right thing. So I started making plans, and I ended up coming out here to visit in September of 2017. And it was like the first official meeting of Winter Sirens, and we were supposed to like jam that day and kind of feel each other out and stuff. And but that totally fell through, and we ended up just meeting at a Starbucks up in Orem and put together like a plan for the next year. We wanted to do all we wanted to accomplish.
I think it was more than a year. It was like almost like 2 years.
Maybe it was.
It was like, I think we did like a 2-year plan. I swear it was like.
I know none of it happened.
Well, I know we did an album.
Well, that's true, but none of it happened within the time frame,
it's
I
true.
guess. So after that, and even before that, me and Mitchell had. We would FaceTime every Sunday, and we'd talk about our goals and what we wanted to do, like the next week with the band, what we were doing, what we were learning, this and that. And we were still looking for members, and we were both kind of on the same page about wanting Cassidy to join. And it was just a matter of getting her, I guess, convincing her to do it. And then I remember Mitchell texting me one day. He was like, "Hey, I found us a lead guitarist." And I was like, "Well, let's have him audition first, and jam with him. Send it to me, and we'll go from there." And so he sent it to me, and it was like, I don't remember how long it was, but I remember listening to like 5 seconds of it, and I was like, we gotta have him. Like, I love him. And then Steven was in, and then shortly after that, Cassidy decided she was going to join. And then fast forward to January, I moved to Utah from Virginia, and Cassidy made it out here from Missouri, and we needed a bassist. And bassists are like unicorns. They're mythical creatures. Some say don't exist. But we found our unicorn in Bryson.
Who exists?
And it was just kind of lucky how that happened too. But I remember we got him to come and audition, and as soon as we started playing, like, I loved him. And Mitchell was already sold on him because Mitchell found him, and but Cassidy and Steven weren't sold on it. They didn't. They weren't. I don't know.
Which is so odd because they were like the chillest ones
Yeah.
in the band.
And so we were like, okay, we'll have him back for the next one, for a callback. And so Bryson comes back the next time, and we jammed, and everybody loved him. And so we offered him the spot, and he decided to join. And then Winter Sirens, that you hear on the album Escape, was formed.
Yeah, and some about Bryson. I actually met him at the job I currently work at right now. It's a company called MX, and I joined just as a regular support team. And you know, I had a vision board of what I wanted to accomplish in the short term, and I had a bass guitarist, lead guitarist, keyboardist, and I just started removing those from my vision board, which was really, really cool. And lo and behold, I never would have expected that, like, at a tech company that I would meet, like, what I find like the perfect basis for Winter Sirens. And you should share that story. It's actually really, like, funny. It's not like hilarious, but it's just kind of like a funny story on how that, like, connection is made.
Yeah, so I started working at MX like 6 months before that or something like that. And yeah, we were interviewing more people, growing the team, and Mitchell interviewed, and we called him Handsome Jesus because he had long hair and like a beard, and we're like, oh, like let's hire Handsome Jesus. and he got hired, and after he interviewed, and our manager was talking to me because he liked music, the manager, and he knew I played bass and stuff, and he was like, oh, like, Mitchell's in a band, and I think he said he's looking for a bass player too. I'm like, oh, cool. Huh. Like, I'll talk to him about
cool.
that. Like,
That's a very Bryson response.
Cool.
Cool.
And then Mitchell and I talked, and we were talking about music, and he's like, or we weren't talking about music. I think I said, like, oh, Jake said that you were in a band. He's like, yeah, I got a band. I just really need a bass player. That's all. I'm like, oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, that's all that we needed was a bass player.
Yeah, that's it.
I play bass. He's like, oh, really? And we talked a lot about it, like what I had played. I played, like, classical music. I played in a lot of jazz bands and stuff. It's like, cool. It was like, I'm like, yeah, I'd be interested in, like, auditioning for your band and stuff. And I came in, and Keith told you it was true. Not everyone liked me, but they're gone now. And I'm here.
So Cassie, Steven, you're watching this.
Just kidding.
You
We
better
love you.
laugh.
They're gone now.
Because that's awesome Bryson humor.
Just kidding. But no, yeah.
They're gone.
That's how I joined the band. And it was just like, I don't know, it felt good. And I was just like, yeah, like, I'll do it. And yeah, it's been awesome.
And
2 years
then in,
later,
like,
3 years, I don't know.
We started getting towards the end of last year, and that was a very, very, very hard time for the band and for each one of us individually. And when I say us, I mean Winter Sirens 1.0, not Winter Sirens 2.0 with the Slambo.
Which we'll get to.
Yeah, which we'll get to. But we were getting close to finishing the album, and each one of us were just going through really, really difficult times. The band was going through a really difficult time too, and we ended up having a discussion with Cassidy and decided mutually that it was best for her, best for us, if we parted ways. And her last show with us was the album release, and we were looking for a replacement for her for a little while, and, like, that was okay. Cassidy left, and we weren't planning on playing any shows again until the new year, so we had a few months. And then in January, Steven tells us that he's going to leave, and he felt like it was time for him to move on. So here we are, left without a female vocalist and keyboardist, and now no lead guitarist. And we had shows booked past when Steven was gonna leave. We had stuff even booked in June.
Yeah.
and here we are in January, and we had no lead guitarist. And so we kind of put a full court press on it. We auditioned a ton of lead guitarists and two female vocalists and keyboardists, something like that. And neither of them worked out, but enter Alec Tambo.
Alec Tambo.
It was a dark and stormy Monday in Manhattan.
Was it?
In
Manhattan. I was wandering the streets looking for my next meal.
In Utah.
And that's when I ran into Winter Sirens. Just kidding. I was home in Reno, Nevada for Christmas break. And
Here, hold on for a second.
What?
So there was back home in Reno, Nevada for Christmas break, and I hopped on Instagram, and I had received a message from Mitchell, and someone in the program that I'm in at UVU had recommended me because they were looking for a new guitarist, and they had reached out to him, and he was like, well, here's this other guy who might be a better fit. That's what Carlos, I think, said, and because Carlos was in another band at the time, and so yeah, Mitchell reached out to me and asked if I'd like to audition, and he sent me some of their songs to look at, and at first, so a lot of my experience of hearing bands' music when people are like join the band, it's like usually the recordings aren't very good and the music isn't very good, and it's just kind of a mess, and so I didn't know what to expect, and then I listened to it and I was like, they actually sound pretty good. So
every
like,
time.
sure,
That is like a common occurrence we get all the time. It's the best.
So I was like, yeah. So I auditioned. What happened during the audition is they had me play 2 songs to come prepared with. Well, I guess 3 songs to come prepared with, but 2 of them were their songs. KP and
Down in Flames.
Down in Flames, and also
Danny California.
Danny California. And so I played that for them, and they also had me like what they like to do is write music with people that they audition, or at least see how the creative process will go with a new person. We played Send Me a Sign. That was the first time I played that with them, and I had a good time. And then we hung out at B-Dubs, Buffalo Wild Wings.
Good times.
and had a good talk. I got invited to join the band by Mitchell prematurely.
and then kicked out by Keith.
Kicked out by Keith.
Sounds
because
about
the band
right
had not discussed it yet.
Sounds about the right dynamic.
It is, yeah.
I'm like, come on. He's like, no.
Well, hold on.
And,
Well, we didn't talk about it.
We hadn't talked about it yet.
and
We
I was
talked
still
about
thinking
how we
about it, so it
liked
worked
him.
out.
That was funny thing was that was one of the most embarrassing moments of my entire life. Like, I don't really get like embarrassed a lot. Yeah, I might turn red at the things that I say, but like genuinely where I feel so stupid, it's very rare, and that was one I just felt completely so foolish.
Well, honestly, looking back on it, we probably could have just offered it to him that night, because after every person that we auditioned, it was like, yeah, they're good, but man, that Alec guy, he just fits so well.
Yeah.
We just talked about how natural it felt and how good that he was and stuff. But we auditioned probably I feel like it was like 10 guitarists. There was so many.
Quite a few.
Yeah. But yeah, and then we, the 3 of us talked about it and thought about it for a while, and then we were all just like, yeah, let's have him. And then Alec was like, actually, I don't know if I want to join.
I was like, I'm still thinking about it.
Which was a really good sign.
So,
It really was.
but yeah, here I am in the band because I decided to join.
Yeah.
I think, and it was really cool. During all this time, I think as the band's been together, our mission and our vision towards music has really transformed. Before, even just going back to Kodiak Brigade, it was like, let's be in a band and let's be successful and write good music and make a career. And although there's still aspects of that's still true, we still want to make this our career. We want to make music something that we can support our families on because we love it so much. But it's even more selfless of a mission now. With the music that we write, we genuinely, especially with what we've gone through, we want to write music that actually touches people, that heals people, that actually helps them see who they really are inside. And that is, I think, what has made Winter Siren so worth it. Because at the end of the day, even at the end of shows, I've had this, and I'm pretty sure everyone else has had this. At the end of shows, I love it when people come up and just genuinely and vulnerably say thank you. I said, I needed that song.
That's the best.
It seriously is so, that's what makes it worth it, is to know that our music is connecting on a whole deeper level, that it's actually solving problems. Like that's amazing when you can do that with music.
You know, one thing I think it'd be good to bring up is every band has a name, right? And people all the time would be like, yeah, Winter Sirens, that's a cool name, but our name actually has meaning behind it. You know, that's one of the things that I've loved the most. That was one of the things. I mean, I remember when you were first talking to me, you were like, I don't think it was until like I told you, like, yeah, I'm going to do it, that you told me the name of the band, and then you told me the meaning behind it, and the meaning's kind of evolved. But I mean, at least for me, what it's always stayed true to is, you know, winter symbolizing a cold, dead time of the year. I mean, nothing grows in winter. Bears hibernate, you know, there's not as much sunlight, plants die, things like that. And also even the world right now, and particularly the entertainment industry, is in a cold, dark place. And a siren is something that can tell you that help's on the way. It can tell you that, or it can warn you of danger. It can, let you know everything's gonna be all right, that help's coming. And we want our music to be the thing that lets people know that help is on the way. That no matter how dark life gets, that there's hope on the horizon. That help is coming, and that everything is going to be okay one way or another. Everything will work out. Everything will be okay. And you know, I think that's something that was, I'm kind of getting chills talking about it, but I think that's something that was kind of solidified for all of us towards the end of last year. You know, how hard it got. And then we got to the other side of it, and seeing that no matter how dark it gets, things do get better. So that's one thing I think sets us apart as a band, is our name, even from like big bands. You know, I remember like watching the Foo Fighters documentary, and Dave Grohl was like, you know, if I took this thing seriously, I would have thought up a better name. But just kind of, I think that's one thing that sets us apart, not just from local bands, but bands in general, is our name.
And this is us, Winter Sirens.
Yeah.
Here we
Roll
are.
credits.
That was our story.
Anyway, guys,
To be continued.
we as a band not only just want to just share a message, we want to connect. Like, I think a big purpose, I've said this so many times and I mean it, is we want you to feel like you're part of our community. Mm-hmm. And we want you to be a part of just everything and anything, and come along with us on this journey, because it is a journey. It is an adventure.
Yep.
An adventure it's not always good, and it's not always bad. It's a really good thing. So please subscribe and hit the bell notification to continue just to support us, so we can continue to pump out content for you, to keep you entertained primarily, and to help you feel like you're a part of. This is why we are doing these video series, is to make people feel like they're a part of the band, that it feels pretty exclusive, and the way that you can also feel pretty like included in what we're doing. Comment below, follow us on Instagram and Facebook, and also go to wintersirens.com, where you can find our music, stream it there. We have a lot of cool things. We have new music.
We're working on getting our merch store up so you can buy t-shirts if you really, really like us and really want to support us.
Ask us some questions too for the future.
Yeah,
as well.
give us some topics.
Yeah, anything you put in the comment section, if you ask, most likely at this stage of where we're at, we're most likely going to answer it, unless it's inappropriate. Go figure.
Then you can DM me and I will answer it.
he'll just answer it. He'll just respond back. But additionally, you can also send those questions to Instagram or Facebook, and we'd be happy to answer it. But again, that is the origin story of Winter Sirens, and it is just still unfolding to this day, and we're excited to have you unfold it with us. And with that, we thank you for watching, and we'll see you later. Phenomenal.